Hey, what's up everybody? Just doing a rant/ramble video here. And also another test of my Microsoft LifeCam Cinema HD. Because, you know, this thing's such a son of a bitch. The software is such a son of a bitch. I'm testing it again. I just want to see how it does with this length of video, really. Because I've had a lot of fucking problems with this thing over the years. It's just been, well, let's take a look. But the topic of today's video is Macintosh computers, because I've been using Macintosh computers for 25 months today. 25 months today. So, over 2 years. I was gonna make this video around the time November. I actually did make this video, but it was like 2 hours long. It'll probably still be like an hour long this time. Don't fool yourself. But yeah, I needed to kind of cut down on the video because it was a bit too hectic. That's why I don't know if this LifeCam is going to be able to keep up with this long of a video, but we'll see if it does. But yeah. So, just talk about my experiences with Macintosh computers, what I think about it, how I feel about switching how Macintosh computers fit into my life, and how I've evolved with Apple, I guess. Just kind of talk about how it's been over the past 2 years. So, I'm not going to pull it out because it's too much of a pain. But my first iMac, my first Mac ever, my first experience with Mac, it's entirely possible that I used one when I was really young, but my first time ever actually using a Mac was for like a minute at a Best Buy. I was using an iMac for a little bit, and I had no clue how to use the damn thing, so I was just like, yeah, okay. That was for my birthday in 2017, so May of 2017 was the first time I ever actually used a Mac. And then after that, I'd had a bit of interest before that of getting one, and just over time I kind of thought about it. I started to shop for used Macs in, I'd say, like July or August of 2017, just kind of looking a little bit. And it really wasn't a realistic thought. It was just kind of like a, yeah, maybe someday, and that has to go into this Microsoft LifeCam, actually, ever so slightly. Excuse me, because I ordered this LifeCam on, let's take a look at the date. I'm just looking at my channel for it. What does it say? October 30th of 2017 is when I ordered this thing. October 27th, that's just crazy. And my first video with it was called I'm an Alien. This is a classic. I could make this video again, or make one similar to it. I have thought of doing that. I found a funny thing I might want to do that's similar to this video. Maybe I'll do that at some point here soon. Yeah, November 4th of 2017. And now, you know, this was around the time that this whole iMac story starts, is early November of 2017, because up to that point I had been using a lot of outdated computers. Very outdated computers. I really wasn't actually using computers for much, so I really didn't have a need for one. I had an old 1999 HP Pavilion computer that I used for some random old software. I had a school-issued laptop, and that was it. And then I used an iPad for some stuff. Really didn't need computers at that point in time, really. for much anyway. But then, in late October of 2017, I decided, you know what, let me dig out an old, actually fairly recent computer compared to what I do have, and let me go and fire it up and set it up. Windows 7 computer. Now this is documented. I do have a video that's just called New Windows 7 Computer. Set it up using a TV as a monitor, and that was nice. And there you go. I had a pretty stout little system going there, and that was nice. And so I did that, and then I got to looking for partially collector value, but I started to look for a Windows XP era computer, something a bit newer than what that Pavilion was, but to where I could at least play some more modern games on it, like era appropriate games, and just to have something that's faster and a bigger hard drive and all that different stuff. And so I did some shopping online, and I found one. And I'm going to lift it up, because this has to do with the story, and it's kind of a funny thing. If you watch my channel, you'll remember this guy, HP Pavilion 552X. So, and you can see there's tape on it, and I'll talk about that a little bit because it has to do with the story. So I got that about November 15th, I'd say, around that time period is when I received that. Maybe a little bit before, but I'm not feeling too great right now. That kind of aggravated my migraine a little bit, but whatever, it's fine. I got that computer, and it ended up being kind of messed up in a lot of ways. The Windows install was completely junked on it, but luckily there was a recovery partition so I could do over it without having to deal with activation or any other bullshit or finding media to restore it from. But besides that, I was disappointed with its performance, and there was a DVD drive in it which would not open. Just would not open. And then there was a CD drive that would open, but it wouldn't read discs. So I had this machine that was not really that great, that I'd paid a bit of money for, and I was disappointed by that. And what's funny about this is the box it came in was actually an iMac box, a 2011 21.5-inch iMac box, just turned inside out. I ended up actually, in the end, I turned it back out, and I have it still to this day. And little did I know that in less than 10 days I'd have my own iMac. Because as a result of that computer being so messed up, I kind of got to looking at some other ones, and I, of course, went through the Mac search too. And so I found a late 2006 17-inch iMac for a good price, and I said, yeah, I'll buy it. And so I did. I bought that thing. I got it on November 22nd, 2017, and immediately, just instantaneously, I knew that I'd made the right choice, and that became my main computer. It wasn't intended to be my main computer, but that's what it became very quickly. And as a result of that, I wanted a cheap Mac laptop and something that could run OS X Tiger, which that iMac could, but I didn't know how to get Tiger on there at the time. So I got an iBook G3 laptop in December of 2017 for Christmas, so just after, basically. And that failed in January of 2018, so it didn't even last that long before it died on me, which is too bad, really, but that's how that went. And I was kind of scraping up to get a replacement for it, and in the end I ended up getting a replacement for it. Got an iBook G4, which I do have here, in March of 2018 to replace it. This is definitely a better machine than what I had before. So, yep. That was my laptop replacement. You can actually see into the screen there, even though it's matte. So yeah, this was just for running some older PowerPC Mac software and some other stuff. So that was all good. And then I decided to shop for more iMacs. Wow. I had been interested for quite a while, ever since I got my white iMac. Basically the first few days I kind of started to look at newer iMacs right away. And I thought a good candidate would just be to get the aluminum iMac from 2007 to 9. And I thought about that for a little bit, and then in January of 2018 I started to really look at it. If you do remember my setup, if you've been watching my channel for a while, or you can go back and look at my old videos from 2017-18, my setup was, by January 2018 basically, I had this desk that I still have. I was in a different room at the time. Had this desk in the corner, L-shaped, with a Windows computer in the corner and my iMac there. And I figured I'd actually get the aluminum. The newer iMac would be a secondary computer to run a newer version of Mac OS. And it was going to go, and I had another desk in my closet. I had a board in the desk, board in the closet that acted as a desk, and that was where the iMac was going to go. And so finally, in early April of 2018, it was April 6th. I'm good with dates. So April 6th of 2018, I ordered myself, and I'll show what I can show. Show the back of it. Try and think of the best way to do this without dropping this son of a bitch. I'll just try and show it. This. It's an early 2008 20-inch iMac. And the fact that it was able to run a much newer OS and it had a bigger screen, better speakers, just overall it was a much better computer than the 17-inch that I had. That thing ended up working out really well. And that became my longest lasting Mac in terms of active use, at least so far anyway. So I get that and it works out really well. And that's where I really get into Mac. That's where it really starts. So in September of 2018, I decided that I want a MacBook, a Intel Mac laptop that could be used to do some of the stuff that I do with my iMac, because the iBook's just so outdated, it really can't do that. So, now let me pull over the laptop stack, because here we go into the story. I'm debating whether to show something in this video, or to save it for later. Spoiler alert, if you watch my channel, you already know this stuff. And this is what I got. This was very not so great. This was not a great idea to do so. But I purchased a 2006 MacBook. Core Duo version. Can only run up to Snow Leopard. This is what I purchased. And, unsurprisingly, that didn't really work for what I was trying to do. Mostly because the screen and the speakers are crap. So that didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. And that was a failed project. So, this failed. So in October of 2018, you know, I collect technology, so here's where we kind of get into the collector side of the Mac thing. I guess we already did with the iBooks, but in October of 2018, I found this. It's a 15-inch PowerBook G4 from 2005. I found it for $12. And I figured, you know, for $12, I might as well. For $12, it's really not too bad. And this is actually an upgraded model of it. It has a higher spec processor. Yeah, this is actually a pretty nice laptop. Just that the OS is too out of date to really do anything with. But in terms of design, and it's pretty damn good. If possible, I would have used this as my main laptop because it is pretty nice. And the screen aspect ratio is nice. The whole thing's nice. Just it's too outdated. That was more of a collector's pick. But in December of 2018, I decided to solve the laptop problem once and for all. But I didn't research the problems I was having properly. And so I bought a machine that didn't work out again. Now we're getting into more modern Macs. This is so hard to show. Got a... Fuck. I'm trying to get the light to... You know bright light likes to knock my fucking webcam out. This is a 2008, late 2008 unibody MacBook, 13-inch. And I was so happy to get this thing. It's like, wow, this is actually still pretty modern in terms of aesthetic, and in specs it's not too ridiculously bad. I was like, wow, this is actually really nice. So I picked it up. Yeah. And immediately, that didn't turn out so well either. Want to know why? Because the screen on this computer is garbage. Absolutely garbage. And also, it's pretty damaged in terms of parts. EyeSight camera is bad. DVD drive is bad. Battery was bad, so I had to buy a third-party one, which doesn't even fit properly, and it's already failing. The hard drive caddy is damaged. Things like that. Kind of rough condition overall. No Bluetooth is dead in it. So yeah, it didn't work out so well. Mostly because of the bad screen. So that also failed. So I tried and tried to live with this for a long time, but I never made it work. So time goes by. We're into 2019 now, the year that we're currently in, almost out of, which is fucking crazy. And I'm still rocking at that point the 20-inch iMac from early 2008 that I got in April of 2018. That was still my main machine. The laptops were all basically irrelevant because of how shitty they were. And that's basically where it was for a while, until April of 2019, when I was shopping for solutions to my laptop problem, and just computers in general. And I ran into a 2009 21.5-inch iMac for a decent deal, and I was a little bit hesitant, but I went for it. Did not work out, because it was the base model, the graphics chip actually ended up being worse than the one in my 2008. And for some reason, I still can't really explain this, but the screen was giving me migraines really bad. I'm almost certain I have photophobia. I have a lot of eye problems. And for some reason, the screen was giving me headaches. So I had to return the computer. So that didn't work out too well, and so I was back to the 20-inch iMac. That only lasted for a couple of days before I decided to return it. So we get into, we see just like boom, and then, so summer of 2018, or not summer of 2018, summer of 2019, and I'm still using that same iMac. That thing lasted me for a long time. But I was still looking all the time. And then I found on eBay a 2010 iMac, and I took a gamble here, because at first I thought it was the way, like the LED screen and the newer iMacs past 2009. So I was hesitant to get it for that reason. But on the price that I had for this guy, for a 2010 iMac 21.5-inch, for $50, I went for it. This was the end of July. This is where we get to the stuff, man. Yeah, this is where we hit it, man. End of July of 2019, I ordered this computer. and it's worked out pretty well. This is my main Mac still to this day. I'm having a weird problem with the screen flickering, but it seems to only happen when I first wake it up. That's the first issue I've seen with this thing, really. Also, I think the person who had it before me played the speakers like at max volume all the time, because at certain frequencies they can crackle. Like certain notes, I don't know, I'm not good with the musical lingo, I guess. Classical music does it pretty bad. Some people with deep voices, it'll do it really bad. Yeah, so that's my main problem with the computer. But for the most part, it's been okay, and I've been riding with it. And it's, other than those two little problems I've had, it's been an excellent computer. The screen is a lot better than the 20-inch that I had before it, and the speakers do sound better. I unfortunately don't have an external solution that's really good, partially because of space. But yeah. But my laptop problem still wasn't solved. So there's that. And then again on Pure Collector Collector side of this, I was shopping for some, like, because what I really wanted is I wanted a good Mac for Mac OS X Tiger, a good desktop Mac for Mac OS Tiger. Because I'm a collector, I run software, I do all that stupid bullshit. And so, less than a month ago, I found, this thing's really heavy compared to the other ones. I found a late 2006 20-inch iMac. I really haven't used it that much, actually. Kind of unsurprisingly. I think I'm going to fire it up tonight and play around with it. Because it's actually a really nice computer. And it can be used for a little bit of modern stuff, like to where you're not completely cut off from the world when you're using it. I'm trying to turn all this stuff to where it was before. Yeah, it's pretty nice, but like I say, it's a hobbyist computer. It wasn't intended to replace what I had. I'm really tempted to show this thing. My thinking here. I'm gonna say something here. I wonder how this video is turning out so far, though, in terms of the sound getting cut out. I wonder if it has been cut out yet, because that's really fucking annoying that it does that. We'll see if I have sound in this video, or I gotta redo it because it's already been pretty fucking long, I can imagine. It won't, there's no timestamp, which is bullshit. Yeah, bright light knocks out webcam audio. That's kind of garbage.
Everybody, this is video 2 I'm going to show you guys a lightsaber in dark light. A freaking toy lightsaber in dark light. If you disable my camera's sound, I will show this to you guys. I'm going to ramble for just a bit of
Hey, no glitching.
I just stopped playing, you can watch from previously.
I'll be right back.
Third time for doing this video. Hey, what's up, everybody? This can't.
Alright. I can see something in this video that I immediately decided was not smart, health-wise. That's relevant. That'll be relevant in minuscule time as well. Chuck.
Turn my lights off and show.
Damn! I didn't start it, like I say. Oh, here we go. Flip editing failure. I made plenty of videos about my iBook G3 when I had it, but it was shown in video before I made an actual showcase video on it, and it wasn't a pickups video. It's just this video of me turning the camera around, and there you go, iBook G3 sitting on the desk. And then my 17-inch iMac. I showed that in a video before. For some reason, somebody needs my damn attention. Let me step out before we talk. Well, got interrupted there, so sorry about that. Now it makes my video artificially longer. But you know, I showed my iBook G3 6 days before I made the video. I'm going to show this more than that before I made the video. So I'm in this unsolved situation with a Mac laptop. Just looking for a Mac laptop. Oh, there you go. Here, I solved it. I think I solved it. I'm not entirely certain. What is this? What is this? It's a 15-inch MacBook Pro, late 2008. My first MacBook Pro. But I got this for cheap because it's fucking devastated. Alright? Close it. This might not show up well on video. This part of it anyway. Oh. See that? Look. The back of it, dude. That's why I got it for so damn cheap. I press on it. Kind of go back together. It's just the adhesive has been damaged. I believe somebody dropped this and it devastated that. When it's open, it's not a huge deal. It's a little bit wobbly on the hinge. So that's the biggest pain in terms of actual usability. Is it's wobbly when it's open. Oh, and a shitload of dust is trapped in the panel because it's split in half. So, let me fire it up here. That's cool. The speakers are messed up. Wi-Fi died because the airport card is in the hinge, so it took the brunt of the damage. I'm still not sure this was a good idea, but I went for it because it was so cheap. Now I gotta say one thing really quick. Now some people, I don't know if anybody will understand what I'm talking about here. I actually don't know. Somebody might know what I'm talking about when I say this, but this MacBook Pro and this iMac have to be two of the funniest fucking pickups ever that I've gotten. That's just what I'm gonna say. If you can figure that out, then good for you. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with this son of a bitch. You know what? I can live with this hinge. I can deal with that. I can live with the Wi-Fi because I bridged the Ethernet from my iMac to this guy until I can buy a USB Wi-Fi thing. But the speakers being fucked, that I can't live with. I'll play. Maybe you can already hear how fucked up that is. Now I might do good to just set it all to the left speaker. The fuck? If it's on the right, how is it playing? The hell, man, this is weird. Okay, apparently the Mac OS 10 setting here is bugged out or is broken somehow. It's not a problem with my computer, it's just apparently this is not set correctly. That's weird. Because if I balance it to the left speaker, it still plays out the right speaker like it's nothing. It's weird. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is a interesting pickup. It is nice in terms of the actual computer is nice. The screen is not superb, I'd say, but it's good enough. It's good enough. I like the size of it. It's not as good as this, but it's definitely better than the 20-inch iMac that I had before in any MacBook I've ever owned, any Apple laptop I've ever owned. It's just that there's the damage to it, right? It's just those fucking speakers that I can't get over. But you know what, man? At this point, after this, I don't think I'm gonna buy another Apple laptop ever again, unless it's brand new. Which, yeah, I'll talk about that in a bit. I don't know, man. You know, it's one of those things to where it's like, when can I say enough's enough? Obviously, I'm taking gambles on these. That's why I say buy brand new. Like, look. Yeah. I don't know. I've been burned on basically every Apple laptop I've ever owned. There's the notable exception of the PowerBook. That is a good laptop. That one, it's missing the RAM access door. Somebody just took that off and never put it back on, and the up arrow key fell off. But like, that's not really a huge deal. That one works excellently. That's an excellent computer, but it's just too old. That's the only one I really haven't felt burned on. I've had pretty good luck with iMacs, other than that one that I got that I returned because the screen was making me sick. Other than that, man, iMacs I've had no problem with. I haven't owned any Mac Minis or Mac Pros or MacBook Airs. I haven't owned any of those. I would consider a Mac Mini. I would consider that. Mac Pro, nah, because I really don't need it. But yeah, I don't know. Apple laptops. I feel like a 2006 MacBook Pro, late 2006 MacBook Pro, could be a decent laptop, but it's limited on the OSs. So it would be like kind of a relegated to hobbyist level, maybe. Because the thing is, if it can run Snow Leopard, it can actually use a modern version of Firefox, and you can kind of use the web with it if you want. But I don't. That's not worth it to me. So I think I'm pretty much where I am now in terms of Apple computers. I don't know if I'm going to buy any anytime soon. I don't know if I'm really going to be buying much computer stuff to go into 2020. A 24-inch or 27-inch iMac might be kind of cool, but first off, I don't have the space. I'd have to get rid of one of my current iMacs in order to take it on. And are the gains worth the money? So, yeah, I think I'm pretty much where I am now, because this iMac is already historically significant, and it's been working pretty well, and I have these other ones that are still functional. They still work fine. So I'm pretty much where I am. And you know, let's get into this. Windows. Talk about Windows. I'm filming this on a Windows box if this video fucking comes out, because it's so... I don't know. I don't hate Windows. I hate Windows 10. Windows 8 was good. Not from a UI perspective, the underlying OS was actually good for Windows 8. If you install like Classical Shell and a couple of other small tweaks, you can actually make Windows 8 a really decent operating system to use. But I stay on 7. Even with support ending, you know. But there's still antivirus support. Just because Microsoft doesn't support it, it's not actually that big of a deal if you're careful. Unless it's a mass attack. But in most mass attacks, they've actually given patches to XP for some of the more recent mass attacks. I'm not too worried about it. I have a Windows 7 box. It's actually the same thing that I used to run back in 2017 that I talked about earlier in this video. And I like it. It's a very nice box. I have a 19-inch monitor for it, which isn't huge, but it's a fairly nice monitor. I've kind of looked at a couple of ones that are a little bit larger, but they're 16 by 9 and not 16 by 10. Excuse me. So I'll probably stick with this monitor. In terms of accessories, I use a Logitech trackball mouse because this thing's awesome. My keyboard is just an Amazon Basics keyboard. I have a compact keyboard that I use with it, but I spilled soda on it. It still works, and I'm currently in the process of cleaning it out with distilled water, which actually is the thing, but I went through it one time, and it didn't help enough. It's still sticky, so I have to go over with more layers, and I'm going to have to let that thing sit for quite a while as a result of that, because you can clean some computer equipment with water, as long as it's distilled water. It's totally distilled, and obviously you have to let it sit for a while, make sure it's dried out before you turn it back on. Because water in itself really doesn't do damage to technology, but like soda will, because the chemicals and stuff will lead to corrosion. Over time, it'll corrode, connectors will rust, things like that. But yeah. So Windows and Mac OS 10, they both have their advantages and their disadvantages. Like Windows is better for gaming. I prefer Mac from a consumption point of view, like in terms of storing content on it, like music, photos, videos, that kind of stuff, and web browsing. I prefer Mac from that perspective, and since my uses are obviously more in that category, I find that Mac works better because the software works better. And so overall I feel better in Mac OS than I do in Windows, but Windows is a good platform. At least using Windows 7 it is. I don't mind using it really, it's just that there's not really the same thing in terms of some of the software. I know you can buy some stuff, but some of it's just not as good. So I use Windows and Mac for different purposes, but overall I'd say I prefer Mac. I like the aesthetic of their hardware as well. I think it's good looking. Like I said, for their OS, I prefer Mac OS overall. So that's what I use, but I also use Windows still. I use Windows more now than I did when I first switched, because at first I kind of went all into the Mac thing for the most part. But now it's kind of like a mix. So, like during the summer, I was on Windows almost every day. I was also on Mac every day. So, yeah. But overall, I'd say with Mac, the reason I like Mac is because I like the software that's available for Mac OS. I like some of the built-in programs. The OS is pretty nice from a perspective of, to say that there's no viruses on Mac OS is a complete bullshit lie, but there's less viruses. I find it to be more stable overall. Catalina's a piece of shit, but other than that, I find it to be pretty stable and reliable. It's mostly a software game, really, but the hardware also does look nice. I like it from an aesthetic point of view. And I do like their this keyboard that they have here, and then I have a wired version of it that's also pretty nice. Magic Mouse I'm kind of impartial on it. I don't mind it too much, but if I ever like do gaming or anything where I'm really doing a lot of work with it, it hurts pretty quick. I would consider getting the Magic Trackpad because that's kind of nice, but for gaming that's not a good solution. I do a little tiny bit of gaming on this thing, not too much. So yeah. Of course you can run Windows on a Mac, which is nice. I think Boot Camp is a piece of shit software. As far as I'm concerned, it is a piece of shit. I don't like Boot Camp the way it works. It's just a pain in the ass in my opinion, but at least the option is there if you can fuck with it. Some people might have better luck than I've had with it, but I've had terrible luck trying to use Boot Camp. I got it to work one time, and even then it was a pain in the ass to install. So, and one thing I really like about macOS is obviously I have so much different hardware, and I like to tinker with it with the different OSs and stuff. With Windows versus Mac, Mac's 1,000 times better at this. I can reinstall the operating system without needing a license. I don't need a product key, don't need to activate, none of that stuff. And once I install it, all of it works. Just everything works. There's still software that needs to be installed, like programs that you use need to be installed, obviously. But drivers are all there. With a Windows machine, you get into it, you have to activate it first off, you have to go through all that stuff. And then you have to download drivers. And going through drivers, if you don't know some of the hardware, is a pain in the ass. Like trying to get some of my Dell Latitude drivers to work. The Wi-Fi driver, because I couldn't easily find, without like really going into it, which I didn't really want to, just for the sake of time. I didn't want to go into it and find what my Wi-Fi card was, so I was taking a gamble with these drivers. And, you know, you can get into situations where the drivers will mess up your system because they're not correct. And it just takes a while to tinker with. Or you can get in some old machines or some things where you can't find the drivers. Like, you know, I have a Windows, that HP Pavilion computer. I tried to reinstall Windows 98, its original operating system on it, and I tried to install Windows 2000 on it, which is newer than it. And I couldn't find drivers for my sound card anywhere on the internet. And I couldn't find them on discs, I couldn't find them anywhere. So I was out of luck, I had to go to XP. Just things like that, Mac is much better at, because once you install it, it's all there. It just works. Yeah, it just works, that's the thing. But I'm also not a fan of the direction that Apple's taken in a lot of ways. I think it was best about 10-15 years ago. They've really kind of declined in the last 10 years. Talk about mobile devices. I prefer iOS to Android because Google's a piece of shit company. Not to say that Apple, you get into the privacy thing. I know Apple isn't as perfect as they say they are with privacy. It's kind of a marketing ploy, but they're better than Google. Obviously, it doesn't even matter. The government has all of it. They have way more than Google or Apple does. So that's not even a huge point to me. But I just think it's easier to use because I don't do a whole lot with my mobile device. I don't really do anything with it. So I don't need to have Android. I don't need to customize it or anything. I just find iOS is simpler. So I use it because it's just simpler and it integrates better with what I have. So yeah, I don't use mobile devices enough to really have a say in that though. So I still would, if I had to buy a brand new smartphone, though, I'd buy Apple just because of iOS. Even though it's a buggy mess right now, but so is Android in a lot of ways. But like I say, I don't know a whole lot on this subject, so I'm mainly into computers. I'm a computer guy. I like to have a keyboard and mouse. I like to have big screens, that kind of stuff. So, and if I had to buy a brand new computer, I would probably go with Mac. I don't know. I feel like I'd buy used if I had the money. I'd just buy used, get an older one, because then I have the option of running older software and the newer stuff at the same time. I probably wouldn't want to buy like a brand new 2019 27-inch iMac. I probably wouldn't. I would be interested in building my own Windows 10 box and then tweaking the OS to pull out some of the telemetry garbage. And I definitely would not want. I think I'd have to go to Windows 10 Pro so they don't update me automatically. I'll do updates as I please, not as they want me to. Yeah, that's one thing. I just don't like the direction Windows is taking either. Both of them have gone to shit as far as I'm concerned, but yeah, I don't have much of a say in it nowadays, but in terms of what I use, I'm mostly a Mac user right now. And I'm not a Windows hater necessarily. I think all OSs are garbage right now. They're all trash. Just which one is the least sucky. I think Chris Pirillo said that first, but yeah, that's just how I feel about it. So, oh, and here's a couple small things I have to say. The aesthetic of Windows machines versus Mac machines. Macs look so much better in my opinion. A lot of Windows machines look crappy. A lot of them are crappily built on the construction, like the shell construction. HP in particular is fucking garbage in a lot of ways. Yeah. I don't like HP very much. I have an HP monitor, which is pretty nice, but that's about it. Talk about monitors for Windows computers. Pixel density and resolution. Well, a lot of Windows monitors, especially back then, and even to this day, have really shitty pixel densities, DPI, and resolution. Like I'm using a 19-inch, like I said, it's 1440 by 900. That MacBook Pro I just showed you is 15.4 inches, 1440 by 900. 13.3-inch MacBook Air from 2010 to 2018, 1440 by 900. 13.3 inches versus 19 inches. The PPI and density of that MacBook Air is far superior to this. 17-inch iMac, 1440 by 900. Better pixel density. These things are important because this screen does look a bit pixelated. I can even see it from here. And a huge one. Here's the big one. 21.5-inch iMac, 1080p screen, 1920 by 1080. I'm not going to say that every time. It's 1080p. And then the 27-inch is 1440p. So it's actually better resolution. HP monitors I've been looking at 21.5-inch, a 23-inch, and a 27-inch. Guess what? They're all 1080p resolution. So the actual content you see on the screen is going to be identical, just bigger. you're not going to actually have more space on the screen. And it's going to look really blurry at that 27-inch. I got a 28-inch Samsung flat 1080p using it as a computer monitor. It looks really blurry because the PPI is so low. But Apple's actually been pretty good at that always. And they have Retina displays, which are really nice. In terms of pixel density, they have it. Another big thing I'll see is also aspect ratio. They use 16:9 on their iMacs, which is kind of understandable because they're so big. And a lot of people use them for like movies or whatever. They kind of use them as a TV or whatever. So they went 16:9. I like 16:10 better than 16:9, but that's another thing. You can pick your choice on there. 16:10 is just better in my opinion. 4:3 is pretty good too. 16:10 is better for modern stuff though. It's closer to 16:9, which is what a lot of high def video is. So the letterboxing is not as intense, but you still get some extra height. Anyway, that's the ramble. Ultra wide monitors are stupid. Ramble. But shit, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, pixel density. Another thing is I have a 15.6 inch 16:9, and it looks way smaller than that. 16:9 is a garbage resolution on laptops. I hate it. Luckily, other than the 11.6 inch MacBook Air, Apple's never done that, and that's one thing I like about their laptops to this day, is they're on 16:10 versus 16:9. It's just such a shitty aspect ratio for laptops. It makes the screens feel so much smaller and so smushed. So, yeah, I just don't like that. And and that laptop, 15.6 inches, compact laptop, guess what the resolution is? 1366 by 768. Everybody, I swear to God, everybody hates that resolution. It's just not tall enough. And again, compare it. 15.6 inch, 1366 by 768 to the 11.6 inch MacBook Air I mentioned, which is also 16:9. 1366 by 768. 4 inches smaller. Same res. That's one thing I prefer about Macs, right there. I mean, you can find Windows monitors and Windows laptops that have good pixel density, but a lot of them really don't. So that's one preference I have. But yeah, it's mostly just smaller stuff, and like I say, it's a software game. It's really a software game. Like, I can do either, really. I can do Windows and I can do Mac, but if I had to choose, I'd probably do Mac. So I'm not a Windows hater, I'm not a Mac fanboy, but I use Mac. So, just the way it is. Yeah, I'm not one of those that complains about Windows being garbage. There are some things about it that are garbage, and Windows 10 is garbage, but so is Mac OS Catalina. And there's also things I don't like about Mac OS. Yeah, it's just the way that it is. I use both. I will use both probably forever. And that's just my thoughts on it. So Mac OS versus Windows, I'd say Mac OS. I, in the end, would, but both of them are fine. I can see the use case of both of them. I use both of them. So, and I just gave you my Mac history. So overall, I am happy that I switched to Mac, but I don't know how long it's going to last for. To be perfectly honest at this point, I think I'm done with Mac laptops altogether. I just think I'm done with that. Unless I buy brand new, I think that's the end of the road. Maybe a 2006 MacBook Pro that I find, but if I get that thing, it's going to have to be in like pristine condition. No defects, no anything. I'm not buying like what I just did there, because that's kind of a regretted purchase already. Not to mention that I also got other freaking shit that You know what, man? My pickups video hopefully won't get delayed past the original date, which, you know, fucking loop-de-loop. But hopefully I can get all my fucking shit before then, but whatever. Yeah. Pickups video in January, like I said. But hopefully I can do it the same day as the last couple of years. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Just overall, it's been a good 2 years. I've been happy with my iMacs. I've been very happy with my iMacs, but I haven't been happy with my laptops. So, like I say, maybe other than a 2006 MacBook Pro, maybe. That's probably the end of Mac laptops. Excuse me. Desktops I've had much better luck with, though, and I would feel a lot better about buying a new iMac. I may eventually at some point get a 24 or 27 inch just for bigger screens because I like bigger screens. It's not really needed, though. It's not really needed, so I'm hesitant to do that. Maybe a Mac Mini at some point because it's so small and I can plug it into this Windows monitor. I can plug it into my TV, which that's actually something I've thought about, is plugging it into my TV and using it as like a glorified DVD player / mini computer. I could buy any old one for that, though, so that wouldn't really be a problem. And those are fairly cheap. I've thought about doing that. I do have DVD players, but they're pretty bulky and big. And I could use my 360, but I don't want to wear the laser down. I don't want to stress that thing because it is a model that can get the red ring of death as well. So I don't want to stress it any more than I have to. So honestly, a Mac Mini as a mini DVD player / hobbyist computer, that might be an actually good deal for like a 2006 or 2007 Mac Mini. That might be a possible future computer. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to. At this point, I'm kind of done with buying computers and buying computer stuff. I think I'm pretty much at the end of the line with it. The collecting is going to shift to other stuff now. So, yeah. And I will make videos on my collector stuff that's coming up. And I hope to make more videos in 2019. There might be a Raven Shield live stream. Oh my god, the luck I've had with that garbage has been so bad. But there may be a Raven Shield live stream, and there will be a video. I'm going to have a much younger guy tell you about this if it does happen. That's all I'm going to say about that. If it's going to happen, a much younger guy is going to tell you about it. But I'll just say 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the 26th. If it happens. I don't know if I will do that or not, but... Yep. But yeah, that's kind of what I have to say. I'm pretty tired, so I'm starting to really ramble on now. I hope you guys are all getting settled in for the holidays. I'm ready to sleep, to be honest. I'm ready to sleep. But my day's not over yet, I know that much. So, yep. Hope you all have enjoyed this ramble if you made it through it. Congrats. I don't even know how long this has been. I don't know when I started because there's no fucking timestamp. Hopefully I have sound still. If this is like, if I watch this back, if I see this exact fucking thing, just like dead silence, God, I'm gonna be pissed. This video might never be made again because it's just bullshit. Hopefully if this comes out, then thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.